Alright, muchachos, we're starting a new section, section 7, and they're all problems involving compound data. So I do have videos on compound data, also known as structures. I'm going to use those two terms synonymously. And admittedly, these are introduced a bit too early, and they introduce structures in a more shallow sort of way, right? Like how to write the syntax, how to destructure stuff and get used to that, alright? But anywho, I highly recommend you watch these videos before you watch this one, because we're going to be breaking down how to solve problems that involve compound data with the design recipe. All right. So problem 7, discount. All right, so this problem has two subproblems. So problem A is design a data definition to represent properties of a person and if they are disabled. And problem B is design a function discount that produces true if the given person is 60 or older or is disabled. All right, so let's just get started with problem A. I'm gonna give myself some space here. All right, so design a data definition to represent properties of a person and if they are disabled. So here's a table of people. So first name is Morty, last name is Smith, age is 12, and false means that they're not disabled. So whenever you hear the phrase properties of, or I want to model attributes of something, that kind of hints out that you want to make a compound data definition, right? Because you have all these variables relating to a single unit of something, right? And similarly for things that go together, like an X and a Y position, they usually come together. And, things that naturally come together, peanut butter and jelly, etc. All right, so we're going to need define struct, and then the name of the thing we want to model. In this case, we want to model people, so I'm going to name it person. And then after that comes either square braces or parentheses. Either one is valid. I'm going to choose square braces, just be consistent, because it's more visually distinguishable. Doesn't really matter, it's just a stylistic thing, as long as you're consistent. All right, so after that comes the field names. So a person has, here are the headers. So a person has a first name, last name, age, disabled, and you can put a lot of other properties here, like eye color or something, or weight, but I'm just gonna stick with these four. All right, and yeah, let's just keep going. So next is how to make a person, not in real life, but in code. Person is going to be called to the constructor function, make person. But what are these types here, right? So, well, first name is going to be a string. Last name is also going to be a string, because they're the best data types to model, letters. And age is going to be a natural number, because it can't be negative. And then disabled is going to be a Boolean. Okay. All right, next is how do we interpret these pieces of field names, right? So, some of these will be very obvious, like, first name means first name, right? That's like, you're just kind of repeating this twice, but let's make it a little not too obvious. So we're going to say first name is going to be abbreviated to FN. Say we're just tired of typing like first name all the time, and we want something shorter, right? Now it's, a little less obvious, but still a little obvious. Still, though, it's always good to be a bit more verbose about what you mean. So FN means first name, LN means last name, and age means age. That's pretty self-explanatory. So you will get some self-explanatory ones if you name your field names pretty nicely. Disabled is a bit ambiguous, right? So does disabled mean like we banned them and, their account is disabled, or maybe they deleted their account for 30 days and, it's disabled for 30 days before we permanently deleted? Disabled has a lot of connotations. In this case, we're modeling, it means handicap, right? It means if the person is handicapped or not. So again, that's why we're having you write these interpretation comments, because we really want to solidify the meaning of what you mean when you have these types of data. All right, so let me just mark myself off for these steps. So there we go, just described everything. I just did the interpretation now. 1b, so if using the define struct, write all the access or signatures, all right? So by declaring this define struct, we're going to have access the functions to get these pieces out, all right? So let's just write them all down. So person dash fn is going to consume a person and produce the string, that being, the first name. Same with last name, right? Person dash ln is going to be a function that consumes a person and spits out a string, that being their last name. Person dash age is going to be consuming a person and then producing a natural number, which is their age. And lastly, which is disabled. So disabled, and that is going to produce a Boolean. All right, so you might be wondering, hey, why am I writing this twice? Like, I already see it up here. I know I can like match these, right? But we get complaints from students who go, I don't ever remember like writing these functions. Like, it's not like I sat down and wrote define person-fn is a function that takes a person and then produces a string. Like, I don't remember writing this function. So I didn't even know these were in the environment, right? So it's sort of implicit that you just have to remember, you know, these 4 functions come with the ride. But, you know, we're going to make it explicit here. And, you know, after a while, we can leave them off. But for now, you know, we want you to write it down. So, you know, once you look back at everything, all the scaffolding we build, you're like, all right, I can see what I have available to use. It's right here. I don't have to like really think about it too much. All right, so I'm going to mark myself off for that step. There we go. Next are some data examples. All right, so this step is a little more interesting now, opposed to all the other data types we had, which were just like, you know, single numbers and strings. We can actually make some, you know, interesting examples. So make person, we're going to just use the data from this table here. So Morty, last name is Smith, and then age is 12, and then false, not disabled. All right, so I'm going to do so for, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 people. All right. And this is going to become useful when we run them and write our examples for the tests for the functions. Right, so Jessica Lee is also 12, but is disabled. Lisa Sue. So Lisa Sue is 65 and not disabled. So false. And then lastly, Bob Smith. Oops, Bob. I don't know why my laptop is beeping. Bob Smith, 61. And then that is true. All right, so those are all the people. In fact, I'm going to name these, you know, Morty, Jessica. Instead of, you know, these P1, P2, P3, I always have to like look back, scroll back up and go, all right, P0 is Morty, etc. But I can just, you know, define names of the variables to be exactly what they are. Makes it a little easier. All right, either way is fine. It's just a stylistic thing. All right, so those are the examples. Let's keep going. All right, so next is a function template that processes this data. So let's just do that. So any function that consumes a person, so define person temp, any function that consumes a person has to mostly, you know, it's often going to destructure all the fields. So we're going to write down all the accessors. So we're going to take the first name of the given person, and I'm just going to copy and paste all the other accessor functions. So the last name, the age, and disabled. All right, last name, age, and disabled. All right. So these things, you know, sort of have to happen in the processing of a person, right? We most often want to take them apart, right? Here are all the pieces that we have to work with, all laid out. And then, you know, after this, you can just start deleting and working with these rather than, you know, having it be implicit knowledge. And I just like to note here that all these steps, again, this should be done without thinking too hard, right? A lot of this is just rote, just write it down, right? So you don't, you know, have it blow up in your head, right? So this should all be done without thinking. And, you know, don't think too hard, because if you think hard, it's just going to be like, I'm stuck. I don't know what to do, right? Don't think too hard about it, guys. Functions are probably where we're going to do the most thinking. All right. So that is it for the data step. Let's move on to problem B. So problem B uses the foundation that we built upon A. All right, so let's just go over it. So design a function discount HA that produces true if the given person is 60 or older or is disabled, right? So let's just follow the how to design function steps. So it's going to be the purpose, well, signature first. So discount HA consumes a person and produces a Boolean. All right, purpose. I can just take it from this problem statement right here. All right, should make it not too obvious next time, right? Produce true if the given person is 60 or older or is disabled, all right? Next is the stub, so let's just do that now. consumes a person, and then produces a boolean. We'll just use false as that dummy value. Then we're going to write up some examples. So check expect, discount So let's see, if we give it Morty is not 60 or older, right? He's 12 and it's not disabled, so it should produce false. Sorry, you don't get a discount. All right, so Jessica is though, so I'm just going to copy and paste this. And there we go. So Jessica should produce true because she is disabled right over here. All right, Lisa is greater than 60, right? Her age is 60 or older, but she's not disabled. Either way, we have to produce true because she gets a discount due to her age. All right. And same with the last person, Bob. So Bob is 61 and is disabled, but that doesn't matter because you are over 60. All right. And I just thought of something. We got to test the case where someone is exactly 60, right? Because it says 60 or older, right? So I missed that case right there. But that's fine. We can just add another person. We call it Jack. I'm going to say your name is Jack Sparrow. All right. And let's see. You're exactly 60 years old, but you're not disabled. And let's just do one more for fun that is disabled, but exactly also at 60. All right. So let's say we're going to say Tom. So Tom Brady is also 60, but is disabled. All right. So let's just finish our 2 tests for those. So 1, 2, and it's going to be Jack. Jack is exactly 60, so he does get the discount. And Tom is, exactly 60 and disabled, so he also gets the discount. All right, so now let's just run our stub against the test to make sure we have no typos in our tests. Should be just failing mismatches, and so they are. All right. So let me just check myself off for those steps. So there we go, signature purpose stub done. Examples are done. Next is template from data. So based on problem A, we built a good scaffolding to leap off of. So we can just copy this template that processes a person and use it as a baseline. All right, gonna rename this to discount. All right, so now it's time to code up the body. Now all the pieces are here, so I suggest you pause the video and try to work it on your own. It's all right because I'm introducing the concept for the first time, right? Problems involving compound data, so not too bad if you don't get it. But try on your own. I'm gonna go over spoilers in 3, 2, and 1. All right, so I'm gonna assume that you guys took a good swing at it. Let's go over this problem together. So we need an if here. So if the person is 60 or older, so we have the age. This gets the given person's age, right? So we're gonna need that. So we need to make sure that the age is greater than or equal to 60, all right? You have to be older than 60, all right? Or, let's see, is disabled. So this gets whether the person is disabled or not. So I'm just gonna cut that and paste it here. All right, notice how we're not doing anything with first and last name, right? That's fine. We're not using them in this problem. This problem doesn't say we have to use them. And yeah, it just comes along for the ride with the data. So yeah, sometimes you're going to end up with field names that you don't use. All the template is saying is that, hey, you can use this, right? It's in the environment. All right, so there we go. Just going to erase those two. So if this statement is true, then we want to produce true. Otherwise, we want to produce false. And if I run against the test, we should all pass. All right, but there is one more caveat here. We can simplify this because if, right, this is true, then produce true. If this is false, then produce false. This itself produces true or false, right? It's just that expression. So we can just replace this whole if block with the or statement itself. So if I run it, same behavior, just less code. All right. So let's debug step this to really solidify what's going on here. All right. So it's going to run through the first test right over here. So, we're giving it Morty. Morty is this make person Morty Smith, age 12 false. All right. Next, what happens? Let's see. We replace all the instances of wherever we use person with the arguments here. All right. So, or person dash age of this whole structure and person dash disabled of this whole structure. So it's going to get those pieces out. So we should see 12 here soon and false here soon. So there we go, right? The person-age of this person structure is going to be 12. All right, keep going. And that evaluates to false because 12 is less than 60, right? Not greater than. Keep going. And then person-disabled of this structure, well, it's just going to take this false out and it produces false. And keep going. Or false, false, that produces false. And check expect false, false is a passing test. All right, let's move on to one more. So discount Jessica, so that gets replaced with this structure. And then all the parameter names, right, PN, this PN gets replaced by the whole Jessica structure. All right, so let's just keep going. So we take her age out, which is 12, and is 12 greater than 60? No, it isn't, so that should produce false, and so it does here. All right, and then person dash disabled, right, we can take this true out, and then or false true. Well, or says at least one of the arguments need to be true, and for this whole statement to be true, so we get true, right? And then check expected true is a passing test. All right, so let me just submit this to hand-in so we can get a score here. So 7.0 discount. There we go. And handing in. All right. So let's just log in here. So and we got 6 out of 6. All right. So just the last thing that I want to go over is that you can have, two little arguments. It's going to crash, right? Like we're not giving Morty a disabled, right? But we have to specify it. So it's going to, yell at us and say, hey, right, you got to give us 4 things. You only give us 3 here. So let's just Control Z that to false. And also you can place the wrong values, right? So let's say we place the disabled, which is false, right? Where the slot is for age. So we're saying here for Morty, we're saying, hey, your age is false and your disabled is 12, right? I swapped the arguments here to the wrong slots. This is valid, right? It's going to run, but it's going to fail our test and likely it's going to crash. Right, yeah, one of our tests failed and it's going to crash because we're comparing, false with 60 and you can't compare false with 60, right? So just a heads up that you guys got to be careful with, specifying exactly how many fields there are and being careful not to put the wrong fields in the wrong slot, right? All right, the right fields in the wrong slot. All right. Thank you for watching, human. If you wish to interact with more of your kind, join our Discord linked in the description or on screen. If you want to aid in my quest for world domination, consider hitting the sub button. Thumbs up if you enjoyed it, thumbs down if you didn't. Any questions, comments, or suggestions, fire away below. Also, check out the annotations on screen for the next relevant video.